Hey, this is Mad Hatter, and I'm here in a creative test world, and I want to tell you why one of the default settings in Minecraft is the worst way to play Minecraft Bedrock Edition, and I have the information to prove it. So, a lot of people will have a hard time in the nether, they'll have a hard time in caves, and it's all due to sim. And I know that sounds strange, but it really is, and hear me out. So we're going to teach you something about the Sims, and we're going to teach you something about Minecraft Bedrock Edition that you probably don't know. Let's get into it. I'm going to need a couple rockets because I'm using a technical pack. There is a couple of videos. Maybe I put a link on the screen. Maybe I didn't. Who knows? I'm terrible about that stuff. So a lot of us have played in Sim 4. And Sim 4 is this sphere. And everybody's super comfortable and understands this sphere really well. The reason that it is that way, and let me put some things down. And by the way, this pack is freely available if you have the ability to install resource packs. For Sim 4, when you're in the chunk, if you look over here, it actually shows you exactly why they do this. So on Sim 4, if a mob is here, they need it to be able to despawn. So they draw this R44 circle from the top down, looking at Sim 4 and where you're at in the chunk, and figuring out how can I guarantee that I have a space to despawn a mob when I'm going diagonally, so despawning works. Completely reasonable. It is set up, you can see the Sim 4 markers there. It is set up so that way the mobs will actually work when they're despawning. You won't have mobs building up in the outer chunks. Completely reasonable. The problem is they forgot when they use the R44 that you're gonna stop spreading the mobs vertically. So now the furthest that a ghast can spawn away from you is right here. And that's almost in ghast shooting range. So if a ghast spawns with line of sight, it immediately starts shooting on Sim 4 Bedrock Edition. And that feels awful. When you have no ability to even spot the ghast before it starts shooting at you, and statistically it's going to spawn within shooting range if you're in the nether. It just feels bad, and people complain about it all the time in the bug reports. But I don't think they complain about it because Bedrock is bad. I think they complain about it because Sim 4 is bad. And let me show you what I mean. So this is the Sim 4 spawn sphere. We're all familiar with it. It goes just like that. Now, this is Sim 6. Sim 6 is a bit different. And you can see these orange acacia slabs. These are from a test. Sim 6 works by having 128 block spawn sphere. So it goes all the way up here. So a ghast is completely reasonable to spawn here, way outside of its ability to see you and start shooting. And there's likely in the nether a cliff between you and the ghast because it is not spawning 44 blocks away, it's spawning up to 128 blocks away. Now, despawning still has to work, and despawning, the way that they make that work, and I'm going to put the armor stand back down for a second. I'm going to give it a stick. The way that they make that work is if you look here, the Sim 6, it's hard to see, but Sim 6 goes out one chunk past the spawning area. And this means that we get spawns here, but as soon as they step into this outside chunk, poof, they're gone. And they will not spawn in these outside chunks. So this is chunk aligned for where mobs can spawn, but it is block aligned for the 128 spawn sphere. This also means that when we talk about densities, and I know that's something that I covered in another video, so I'm not going to go into it too much detail here. When we talk about densities, you actually have access to a lot of mobs, because you can get 5 independent densities if you're being careful, or you can usually get about 3 densities worth of mobs in this spawning area. And for those of you who don't know what that means, That means in Sim 4, you're probably going to end up with about 20 mobs on average, unless you've done something very special. In Sim 6, you're going to end up with about 60 to 90 mobs around you. They'll be spread out more evenly, but it'll be 60 to 90 mobs. That is much closer to Java, and I think that is one of the reasons why people say that mob spawning on Bedrock is broken, is not because it is broken, but because they're playing on Sim 4, and Sim 4 is just awful. Now, let's go and do another look at Sim 8. And I don't think the difference between Sim 6 and Sim 8 is that big of a deal. I'm off by 1 block, so things may be very slightly different. But Sim 8, you get, yes, more mob spawning, you get more density, but you're still getting the 128. Materially, a gas spawning here versus a gas spawning here doesn't make that big a difference. But a gas spawning here versus here, way up close, is an absolutely massive difference. The fact that you really struggle to get archers out of their range is a huge difference. Sim 4 is just broken. Now, we still are not a sphere yet. We still are chunk aligned when we talk about from the top down, and we do start to get some rounding at the top when we talk Sim 8. Sim 8, I have a minor problem with it. Well, actually, it's a major problem, and it's global mob cap. If you didn't know, in Sim 8, and I could jump in and show you, you can end up with 120 mobs around you if you just go to a guardian farm and there happens to be a cave beneath you, especially a lush cave. You can end up with 128 mobs around you, no problem, right away, and you haven't even done it. So that's like half of global mob cap. So I usually try to avoid Sim 8, but Sim 6 is super nice. Now, Sim 10, the problem is global mob cap. You, on average, are going to have more than 100 mobs around you. It's just because there's so much ticking area, you're going to have 100 mobs. If you have 100 mobs, you are really starting to make the server unplayable for multiplayer. So Sim 10, I don't really even consider Sim 10 as an option. It is starting to get to the point where we are no longer chunk biased. We are actually starting to round off on the edges. And then on Sim 12, let's get back and do that one. We are now at the point where we are mostly a sphere again. 128 block sphere, we are mostly a sphere. You will have these little cuts in where it is not actually a full sphere. But for the most part, you can just treat it like a 128 block sphere. And those only exist like in the plane that you are playing, and only on the side that you're biased towards in the chunk. So it's pretty much a sphere. Anyway, the big problem is the lack of vertical spawn space in Sim 4 that people really hate. Try Sim 6 out on your worlds. A lot of people would have reset with 1.21 coming out right now. Sim 6 is a whole new adventure. The rates for farms, for the most part, can go up, but spawn-proofing birding goes way up because you now need to spawn-proof 128 blocks below your feet. Like I said, I would recommend giving Sim 6 a try. After I move to Sim 6, I'm not going back. Sim 4 is the worst way to play Minecraft, and tell me I'm wrong in the comments. I don't think I am. I think literally everything should move to Sim 6, and that's actually one of the reasons I canceled my Realm subscription. Anyway, this is Mad Hatter, and I'm out. Bye!